Hello and welcome everybody who can hear us. This is a good test as everybody still piles in to make sure you can hear us and, you know, give it a good practice of some things. Mary Lou has already figured out how to use the reactions, which is great because we're going to use that in a minute. So let's practice now, actually. For those of you who are here, it's so good to see you. If you can hear the sound of my voice, just go ahead and hit me with a thumbs up like I've got in my screen so that I know you're here, because we're going to be voting in this meeting and it's going to be super helpful to see thumbs up rather than anything else. And for those I don't see, I'm going to start, you know, I'll give out information too. If you don't know how to do what I just did, down at the bottom of your screen, there is a toolbar. That toolbar has a bunch of different icons on it, one of which is reactions, which has a smiley face that appears to have a plus sign bow on its head. If you click on that, you should be able to, yeah, Gary, I was looking at you to see if it was working. So the fact that I saw a thumbs up means I'm doing something right.
Well, I can't find it. So.
Audrey, you said you can't find your reactions button?
No, I got the top ones, but not the bottom ones.
You got the top ones what? Tell me more.
Oh, it says mute, start video, share content, participants, and more. That's
and when you click on more, there's nothing in it that says reactions?
Oh, well, let me click on it and see. No. Ah, I see Dawn. And
if you can see Dawn and you can't use reactions, that's actually the best situation. If you can see Dawn, you know you're doing something right.
I'm okay, right?
No, I was kind of scared.
Oh, I got Gary. I didn't put my face on because I'm eating. When I finish eating, I might put it on.
That'll be the dessert for all of us. If Audrey finishes eating, we get to see her beautiful face.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, Audrey, for you, we'll have to make an exception. But for everybody else, I've just been asking, for those who've joined in, help me by letting me know you can hear the sound of my voice in clicking the reactions button. Just give me your thumbs up. I saw most of you. It seemed like.
And you know that I can hear your voice.
Okay, that's good. That is a good thing. Good.
And maybe
Lionel, who is new.
I'm on my iPad instead of computer.
Is somebody else on an iPad who might be able to teach more? Because I'm on a desktop. Russ, I know you're usually on an iPad. Actually, your name is iPad. So.
Yeah, mine was iPad also. And iPad 50. Now I renamed it to my name. So
mine is on an iPad and I can mute or listen to you. So yes, I hear you.
But do you have the reactions button, Russ?
I don't see a reactions button.
Interesting. So maybe we've got an iPad issue that we got to look into. Okay.
Pastor Jay?
Yeah, Marcia.
On iPad, if you click on where you see mute, start video, share content at the top right, after you click on your iPad, there's more with 3 dots. You click on that and all the reactions are listed at top above where it says chat.
It says chat, meeting, settings, minimize.
Click on your iPad, click on somebody's face, and then up at the top, it will show more at the top right corner with 3 dots. Yeah. Click on the more, and then you have clap hands, thumbs up, heart.
It has mute, start
Yep,
video.
keep going all the way over to more.
I'm on the right. I'm way over there. And more.
Click.
Oh, it has chat. Is that what you want?
Yep.
Oh, Russ found it.
Thumbs up, heart.
Okay,
laughing.
I did a thumbs up. There you
Yes.
go. My thumbs up.
Got your thumbs up. Audrey, I saw yours. Russ, I saw yours. Marcia's, you're making moves for us. Thank you for walking us through that.
I learn something every time I, do this thing.
The kids who I teach for the Crash Classroom taught me how to put different video filters on. And so I ended up teaching the entire class last week with a unicorn. And I'm halfway tempted to do the same thing here of just, let's see how serious we can take these very serious things when I have this magical, it's called a magic horn on the filter. And I taught the entire time. It worked there, but I have a feeling I should turn it off for this one. But, that'll be next town hall meeting. Now that we figured out the thumbs up, next town hall meeting, we're going to show everybody how to do the unicorn horn. All right, there is a good chance we will get more people here tonight, and I'm going to keep ushering them in through the waiting room, but we want to be respectful of your time and make sure we get in as much information as quickly as possible. But I'm going to start by handing it off to Mart, and he's going to start us off for this meeting.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I really appreciate it. Last time we didn't have quite so many, and it's very difficult to do business without at least a larger number than 5 or 6. So thank you very much for joining tonight. I hate to start out, however, with some really sad news. I am assuming many of you have already heard that Jeanette Bell passed away early this morning. Apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gordy, apparently she had a
No,
stroke.
I'm the one that knows. I'm the one that was there.
Okay, Audrey, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
She had a major bleed, brain bleed. She called, I'm on her alert thing, and I got the call about a little before 5 in the morning. And of course, Ken got it also in Rhode Island. So I called Jeanette and I said, Jeanette, what's up? What's going on? And she said, I think I'm having a stroke. But she said, and this is Jeanette, she said the porch light is on and the door is unlocked. And then she went back to her room, bedroom, and I went out, the EMTs came right at that time, and I went over and went in with them. And initially, she was pretty coherent, and was answering their questions and things like that.
All the way up.
But I could see she was starting to go down. They did an EKG, they did, the blood pressure, all that was fine. She was answering the questions, but then they tried to have her walk over to the chair thing that they take her out with, and she couldn't move her legs. She couldn't do that. Her eyes closed. She couldn't open her eyes. So anyway, they got her out in the ambulance, took her to Boulder Community, and I called Daryl and Japheth and Jay, and Ken, called me because, I called Ken, and he had gotten the alert, but he didn't know where she was. He was calling all the hospitals in the area, and so anyway, she got over there, but Daryl and you, Jay, right? Got there just a little bit too late, because then Ken called me back and said, I just got a call. I just had to make a decision. They asked if they should take her off life support, which he said yes, because she was not doing well, and apparently she went like that. So by the time anybody got there, she was gone. So I had a long talk with her yesterday. She was great, about lots of things. And the neighborhood, they're all saying too, yeah, I just talked to her on Friday. So it was a very sudden thing. So Ken is coming tomorrow night. He'll be in around 7. And he'll be here for a couple of weeks probably.
Thank
So
you,
that
Thank you so
is
much.
the summary.
Thank you for that summary, and thank you for being such a good friend to
Well,
Jeanette all these years.
yeah.
I'd like to begin with a word of prayer for her and for our church and for her family. Let's bow our heads. Father, we thank you so much for the blessing that Jeanette and Bill have been to the Seventh-day Adventist Church over the many years. We thank you for their son, Ken. Also, we ask that you be with him as he is working through this difficult time. We ask that you let us know the best way that we can help as they deal with this very difficult issue in this time. Help us to be the the kind of loving friends and family that his family will need as they work through this. Thank you again for the blessings that we have as a church. Be with us tonight as we make decisions that will impact our future. And once again, thank you for the blessing and the influence that Jeanette had on our church. In Jesus' name, amen. We have a couple important items that have to do with the opening of the church and the future of the church. And again, thank you, Audrey, so much for that summary. But let's Jay, I'm going to move it back to you and let you lead us through some of the decisions that we have to make tonight.
Yeah, sounds good. So thank you, Mark, for praying for us. And we're going to continue to pray. The prayer team is here tonight as well. So if you've got more prayer requests, let them know. And, we're not just going to make an announcement and move on, but it's a healing process for all of us. But for tonight's meeting, we do want to focus on some things that are coming up. The first one, many of you may have questions about: who is next for the senior pastor position? And we have an update for you. Vanessa is our staff liaison between the search committee and the Rocky Mountain Conference. And I'm going to pass it over to her, and she's going to give you all an update on where we're at with the search.
Thank you, Pastor Jay. Hi, everyone. I want to start out by thanking everyone for your prayers. Being able to pray with all of you from afar on the future of our church has really been a blessing. So on behalf of the search committee, I just want to thank you all for your prayers during this time. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for the announcement that was made on Community Life that said that we would announce the name today. Unfortunately, I'm unable to release that name. And the reason is that the candidate needs to inform specific parties about their decision to interview the church and has not done so yet. So I spoke with the candidate today. And so as soon as we are able to move forward as soon as that candidate has informed those people, then we can begin looking at dates for that person to come and fly over. We are hoping to get creative on in-person or Zoom options so that we can all get to know this candidate, but at this time it is all tentative. So that is the update on the senior search. Any questions? Or are we doing questions right now, Jay? Yeah, I could take them.
You already asked. You let them off the chain. We're going to take questions
true.
now.
I guess I have a question, Vanessa. Good to see you. How many have we considered? Several people? Just wondering how that's gone. I haven't been connected to that.
Yeah, so we so after the search committee and the staff submitted qualities that we were seeking in a senior pastor, Elder Barnett compiled a list alongside with the list of suggested names that were given by the church family. And we started out with about 20 names. And then we then reviewed more thoroughly 9 names and then so forth. So it was from about 20 was our starting point.
Okay. I mean, I'd love to know more, but I know you can't tell me more.
We're very close to be able to just share and say, this date, this person, but if you would continue praying, as these are all big decisions for all parties involved.
Thanks.
You're welcome, Kathy. Anyone else? Well, if anything comes up, you're always welcome to email hello@boulder.church or vanessa@boulder.church. Either one. I'm happy to continue the conversation regarding the search.
All right, we'll make that one nice and easy. Next one, biggest question. People are asking, people are demanding, people are wondering, are we ever going to open the church? Have we decided to sell it to somebody else and move to space? All those questions are good questions. Some of them are better than others. One of the ones that we want to address tonight is when are we going to reopen? How long do we have to wait until we have the option of coming back to meet in person? We have met with our COVID-19 Safety and Response Committee. They have been working tirelessly to try and get all of the pieces together that if we were able to do it here in Boulder County, what would it take? What would it cost? What would we have to do? And what is the timeline that works for it? I am very excited to say that we have a date and it is on our calendar, but I want to give a bunch of caveats, which will take this giant inflated thing that we're going to get super excited about and sort of let some of the air out of it just, early so that we don't get expectations up too high. Please keep in mind, this is a pandemic. It is a virus that we don't fully understand and cannot fully control. So while we have chosen this date, every timeline when it comes to COVID is an approximation of a reality. And this is our best attempt to try and make that reality it's something that exists for us. But we will be keeping in touch with you if anything does change, and we want you to keep in touch with us so that you can stay up to date. But the calendar date we are looking at to reopen on a limited basis. Keep in mind, we're not just opening the doors, but we're opening to the capacity we're allowed to open for Boulder County. The date is October 3, the 3rd of October. So it's coming up soon. We have met together with our staff. We actually did a dry run this past Sabbath. Vanessa and I were running around trying to turn on all the systems because we turned off TVs 7 months ago and haven't turned them back on since. We turned off projectors. We turned off an audio board. We have unplugged a bunch of cables up in the video bay to move some computers around because we can't have two people sitting less than 6 feet away from each other. We've got to have ingress and egress options and where you're allowed to sit in the sanctuary and where you're not allowed to sit in the sanctuary. And ultimately, we think we're on track to reopen on the 3rd. So please be aware, it will not be just a re-entry, come back, we'll figure it out when you get here. We're already working on a system for you to register. So you're actually going to have to register to come to church. Our capacity right now in the sanctuary is 50 human beings. And I say 50 human beings because I don't want you to think that it's 50 people sitting in the pews. It'll be 50 total humans, including whoever is singing, whoever is preaching, whoever is a deacon, whoever is the person at the door telling you all the reasons why you have to wear a mask through the entire service and explaining to you when you leave the church service and you're still on the church property, you have to continue to wear your mask from that point forward. It's going to be the person who has some sort of very clean glove that can be thrown at you if you start to shake hands or hug anybody else, or at any point you decide it's a good idea for you to sing along with the music, because singing is a no-no in the sanctuary. So there's going to be a lot of changes. Not everything is going to look the same. Right now we have a giant plexiglass shield on stage for our performers to stand behind. So it kind of looks like the Pope Mobile was parked on our platform, which I'm sure the Rocky Mountain Conference is not going to be excited about me using that term, but they will hopefully be excited about the safety precautions we're putting together. We will get out all the information of how to register, how to get your spot, how quickly we will start doing other cool things like how we're going to move connect groups to allow you to win the registry lottery to come to church personally, but still make it home for your connect groups, because right now we are only opening the church service. We are not opening up for connect groups until we can fully figure out how to map a floor for everybody to stay safe. And to preempt any questions about the Camp Sanitas situation, we're going to have to work on that one for a while. So for now, we're just reopening for the church services. Questions on that? I know I threw a lot of information at you, but if any of that didn't stick, let me know and we'll clarify.
Well, it'll still be online too, right?
Yes, Audrey. So we will be live streaming. We actually did a practice live stream on Sabbath that went out clearly. The audio worked. So if you don't, get your registration for the in-person seat in-house, you can still watch from home. Just keep in mind, we will not be doing the way it looks now. So right now, everybody puts a camera in front of their face, they preach a sermon, and then we stitch it all together, and you get everybody's living room. This will be whatever we're streaming from the stage inside of Boulder Church that goes out to everybody else.
Probably.
Hey, this is Mark. I would like to add and highlight what you said, that this is the plan as of today. I think a lot of you know that Boulder has had a real strong uptick in cases from students who are partying. That may change this phase in which Boulder County resides and may decrease the numbers that we can have in our church service. So stay tuned. There may be some changes. We're hoping that we're going to be able to have 50 individuals in the sanctuary, but it all depends on what's going on from the state and the community spread that's going on.
Just to reiterate for everybody else who joined in, because I know I've been adding people in from the waiting room, the date for reopening is October 3. So mark your calendars. That'll be the first opportunity for us to bring a select number of people who win the Adventist lottery of sorts to find a way in. I'm going to get in trouble for both of those terms now. I said Pope Mobile and I used a gambling term, and we're recording this. So that's a super special thing for me to explain to Ed at some point later. Any other questions about that we have not answered? Obviously, there's a ton more information coming your way. Like I said, we want to stay in touch with you. So if you do not already receive the bulletin, you need to get your name on the bulletin list. And the easiest way to do that is to email bulletin@boulder.church, and you'll get a daily newsletter, a weekly newsletter on Thursday, and a special bulletin on Sabbath morning. It will have all of these details, so you're not caught off guard. So you'll find a way to register to get your seat in the sanctuary, and then you will also find a way to learn all of the new rules and regulations and get ready to stitch your first Sabbath appropriate mask that goes perfectly with the rest of your Sabbath outfit. I'm sure that's going to be a new fashion thing, and I cannot wait to see the late fall season fashion works with masks. It's going to be a beautiful thing. No other questions? Going once, going twice?
This is Winnell. I just wanted to say thank you to the whole leadership team for doing this so seriously and thoughtfully, and I think it sounds really exciting.
Thanks, Winnell. We appreciate it. All right, same thing as before. I know Vanessa said if you've got questions about the search committee, you can reach out to hello@boulder.church. You can reach out to any of us. Hello@boulder.church works for questions you might have about this, but keep an eye on the bulletin. It's coming out, and we'll keep you posted. Let's move on to point number 3. Does everybody remember back when we used to have church and you'd have members that were voted in and out, and the super fun thing is that you'd actually get to participate in the voting of such a thing? It's a cool part of membership. Turns out there are new rules, and it's hard for us to figure out how we vote in this day and age. And the Rocky Mountain Conference has granted us permission to take votes in something like a town hall meeting, which is what you're in right now. And so Pastor Vanessa has a list of membership transfers in and out of the Boulder Church. And I did this at the beginning, but I'm going to test it again. I'm going to make sure everybody still knows where the reactions button is at the bottom of your screen. It should give you the opportunity to put something like this thumb that's up right here on my screen. Yeah. So I got a thumb, and that's going to be how we're voting, so that I can make sure we've got an actual consensus for this. And if you don't have the ability, so this is the weird thing, like Zoom is super anti-bullying. So there's not a thumbs down, which means in the middle of class, Jackson Soapman isn't allowed to thumbs down his teachers when he's sitting there like this. this is dumb. And he's not allowed to do that because they only give you thumbs up. You have to be super positive. So instead, we're going to do thumbs up means thumbs up. And if anybody has not yet updated their Zoom, you should have another option, which is the clap. So if it's the clapping, now usually clapping is a good thing, right? Like clapping usually means like, yay, hooray. Clapping means thumbs down. Because if there's anybody who needs to vote this down, we need to be aware of it so that we can actually take a look at these things, and then we'll have a conversation with you afterwards. So let's test it before Pastor Vanessa takes the official vote. Can I get a thumbs up from everybody that you understand what I just explained? Good, I see Caesar. Yeah, good, good, good. So many thumbs up. Yep, yep. Okay, it seems like, yeah, good. I don't want to call anybody out. I don't want to be like, we're waiting for you, Eric Valandia. I just picked that name out of the air. I don't know where that name came from. Oh, wait, Eric. Okay, good. Eric. Oh, look, Eric's here. I didn't even realize that. Thanks, Eric. So that's how we're going to do this. Vanessa's going to share with you the list. You'll get to see all the names voting in and out. We're going to vote together, and then we get to tell the Rocky Mountain Conference we did something official over Zoom, which is super exciting and a brave new world moment. So Pastor Vanessa, take it away.
All right. So I'm going to share the transfers in. So to join Boulder, we have Ryan Bradmeyer from Life Source Adventist Fellowship in Lakewood, Colorado. Matthew and Laura Klein from Denver South in Denver, Colorado. Jeanette Kleppinger from Chapel Haven in North Glen. Pedro Lemos from the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Moema. Thanks, Jay. We also have Chimdi Oniuri from the Adventist International Institute of Advanced Studies in Cavite, Philippines. And we have Azucena Sanchez from the Boulder Hispanic Seventh-day Adventist Church in Boulder. And yeah, so as a recommendation from the Vision Board, I would like to make a a motion to accept these membership transfers. Oh, do I have a second? I guess I should ask. Thank you. All right, all those in favor?
All right, now everybody gets to thumbs this one up. We should have done it on 3 because now I feel like I've got a bunch of it popping up like cameras at a concert. Keep in mind, if anybody has any concerns, just use the clap, and that will let me know that we need to have a conversation. But I didn't see any of that, so either you couldn't find it or you didn't think it. So I'm pretty sure under these new rules, that counts as a motion passed, and we'll let the people know.
I have a question though. This is Dee. There's 2 of us here, and we only get 1 thumbs up.
I guess one of you gets to use a digital thumb, and then D, you have to show me your actual thumb. So if you're not voting the same, maybe you should turn your camera off. You can talk about it with each other, make sure you're of one accord, and then you can go from there.
It just seems that this probably is pretty simple, but if we're going to do this on something really controversial, when money's involved, I mean, we probably want to each have a vote. So you might want to think about that because we only get 1 vote now. So
I'm with you, Dee. I'm with you 100%, which is why we're reopening the church on October 3, so I never have to do this ever again.
Jay, I need to read the leave Boulder or the transfers out. Sorry, I missed. I was
just gonna leave. I was just gonna say nobody voted on it and they have to stay. But fine, we'll do it your way.
All right. To leave Boulder, we have Anderson Barbosa to Raymond Seventh-day Adventist Church in Franksville, Wisconsin. Christopher Sanders to Arlington Seventh-day Adventist Church in Arlington, Texas. And John Van Patten to Life Adventist Church of Berkeley in Berkeley, California. So as a recommendation from the Vision Board, I would like to make a motion for these transfers out. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, thumbs up. So far, so good. Okay. Any opposed? Any of the clapping reactions? Okay. I believe these motions have been carried.
All right, and we'll never know what Dee really felt about this vote because I'm pretty sure. Oh, okay, there we go. All right, Pastor Vanessa, do us a favor, just because we are gearing up for a church at business meeting, and I'll give you the date for that as soon as Pastor Vanessa gives us this next report. But there's always a question of how are we doing membership-wise? Where are we at? And what's our total at now, which Pastor Vanessa has for us. Can you share that with everybody else?
Yes, so at this time we have 673 members. In our total records, we have 974 people because 301 of them are non-members, which can include children or just other non-members registered by the church clerk. But total members, 673.
Cool. Any questions about that? It's just a big round number for you. Great. I'll take your stunned silence as a no. All right, let's talk about this. I know I said I'd give you the date for the business meeting, and you're all in front of a device that has a calendar attached to it. I hope, if not, I'd love to know what you're using to actually get on Zoom, because Zoom seems to be on everything these days. If you can pull out your calendars, I want you to mark them for November 14th. November 14th at 5 p.m. is the date we will be meeting for our church at business meeting. And I can already hear the question, but Jay, are we going to meet in person? Are we going to meet at Zoom? Have we figured out how to do that double thumbs up thing yet? The answer to all of those questions is, I don't know. I don't know. The plan is to do it in person, but if there's only 50 people allowed in the sanctuary and we only let 50 people vote on what the church gets to do with their money, Dee is going to smack me around again. So we will find a way to make sure everybody gets a vote and everybody gets a chance to have their say. So it might be a combination of things, just like we're doing for our Sabbath services. We'll have some people here, some people there. We'll have to come up with a voting system because the church manual was not ready for coronavirus. There's actually rules about whether or not you're allowed to proxy a vote and who can proxy a vote and from where you can vote. And if we haven't figured it out by then, the Rocky Mountain Conference owes us a new protocol. So we'll be putting some pressure on them to make sure it works so that everybody gets a vote and Dee and Elroy don't have to fight the night afterwards about who got to vote and why. Sound good? November 14th, 5 o'clock. Perfect. We'll just keep it moving. I'm going to give you some updates about what's going on with our finances. I will let you know right now the finances are going to be a little lopsided in the sense that I can give you offering from the end of June, but I can give you tithe through the end of August. And it's because we've got a couple of things that checks have been set at certain places at certain times and post dated. So if I gave you the numbers through August for offering, I would just be lying to you because it's only a piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. I will give you local offering first so that you can see that, and then we'll move on to the local tithe. Can everybody see that? Although I can't see any of you now. Hang on. Everybody can see that? Peter says he can see it. If Peter can see it, everyone should be able to see it. And that's not, that doesn't say anything about Peter's eyesight, I promise. I'm just going off of the fact that Peter's camera looks like he's in the middle of a fog valley, but that just probably something smudged on the camera lens. All right, so let's walk through this. There are 3 different levels here. So we've got the actual giving, the original budget goal. So for the most part, you can look at the middle column, or you can choose to move past it simply because our original budget shifted based upon the fact that we had staff members who were in one position, but then their contract changed, and then we brought on a new senior pastor, and then that changed some things for the configuration. So really, you're looking at the actual giving versus this third column on the right-hand side. So as you can see, January, COVID wasn't real. February, COVID wasn't real. March, COVID became real and the numbers start to shift from there. So through the end of June, if you take it to the bottom line, we have 142,000 when we were looking for our goal of 173,000. And so for those of you who are looking at this and thinking, wow, we're $30,000 short. If you want to make yourself feel better very quickly, look at the original goal in column number 2, and we would be way worse off if we were trying to hit 204,000 than we would with 173,000. Any questions on that? Good. I'm really only looking at Dee's camera anymore because she is the one I'm most afraid of in this meeting, and she shook her head no, so I'm going to move on to the next piece. June budget, 3-year comparison. Let's look from 2018, 2019 to 2020, the June total. Obviously, year to date is going to be a little bit different, but you can just see where we've been by the end of June in 2018. By this point, we were at 33. Last year, we were at 29. By 2020, we're at 20,000 for local giving. And then our year to date is somewhere north of that. But you saw that same figure from the last third column from before. Questions there? Good. Data is fun, people. This is riveting stuff here. Let's see if I can get you a bigger and better look at this, because some of us do better with pictures than they do with numbers. Here's a bar graph for you to take a look at everything. So the green is the actual and the goal is the blue. So if you wanted to know how much further from this point to this point is, the answer is that far. It's that far away from green to blue for us. Look good, sound good. Obviously, it doesn't look great. It's not where we want to be, but we haven't dipped to zero, which is nice. So if you are one of these people who has continued to give offering through COVID, we appreciate you. And for those of you who have not been able to, due to circumstances outside of your control, we understand. And we're working through all the ways to make sure these numbers at least reach a comfortable place for us by the end. And we're hoping reopening on the 3rd will give us that opportunity. If you're good with that, I'm going to share with you the tithe, which I said is through the end of August. So I'll give you a better look at where we are, at least with tithe. Similar look from before, just with different numbers. So the actual versus the goal. This one takes us through the end of August. For any of you who are not familiar with the tithe structure, the numbers that you see running here on this right-hand side that says goal, we are charging towards a set number. That set number is $600,000. That number is based upon how many full-time conference employees you have at your church. And because at the beginning of the year, we had 2 conference pastors on our staff, the number was 600,000 because each conference pastor costs you $300,000 a piece. So we're trying to get to 600,000, but through August of 2020, we are only at 240,000. So we're not sure where that's going to land, but we're definitely falling short of this target when it comes to tithe. Questions about that piece? Yeah, Mark.
This is Mark again. I know that sounds very concerning that we need to get to 600,000 to keep 2 pastors, but I know that the whole conference is struggling, and so they're going to have to review the total numbers. And with all of the unemployment that we've had, with all of the economic impact that we've had, there's going to be a new standard that has to be set. So at this point, I would absolutely encourage people to pay their tithe, but at this point, I wouldn't hold that 600 out there as a firm goal that if we don't reach, we're not going to keep our 2 pastors.
Thanks, Mark. Any other questions on that first piece? Again, riveting stuff. I'm keeping everybody with me. I can see just excitement in everyone's eyes. No one's turned their camera off because they're nodding off. I just know people are super excited about this. August 3-year comparison, 2018. By this point, we were at 29. 2019, we were at 36. By 2020, we were at 26. And here's how those numbers have shifted across the years. So we're we're staying competitive. We're just not staying fully ahead of what we're up against. And again, for my friends who love a picture rather than cold hard numbers, this is what it looks like. So you can see the blue is going up. The green is still going up, just not as high as the blue is. But as Mark has elegantly put, we're in a different time. We've got a different calculator this time around. So we want to continue to cause that green bar to go up, with the understanding that we probably won't hit the same heights that we thought we were going to when we first came up with this budget last November. All right, if there's no other questions, we will end that section knowing that this is just a preview of what you're going to get on the business meeting when we all meet. And first one to buzz in, when is our business meeting? Just to let me know that you're listening. Anybody?
November 14th.
November 14th. Audrey, the only person with her mic unmuted, nailed it. Perfect. November 14th, 5 o'clock. We're going to go over this stuff again, and we'll give it to you in a way that will make more sense. And obviously our offering at that point will be not through the end of June, but through whatever we're able to do through Melissa. So you'll get something up through September, if nothing else.
Okay, this is Mark again, and I hate to put you on the spot, but clearly our revenue is down, but our expenses are down too. Do we have any idea how that is keeping track with our revenues?
Yeah, so the good thing is, the way our budget works, there is a lot of stuff that we've earmarked for certain things. And the good thing is we've continued doing ministry. So things like the youth budget has been tapped into throughout all of this, but it's way cheaper to cover the water bill when we don't have all of you walking through the building and flushing toilets and drinking all the water and turning off lights and turning on lights and all those pieces that come with building management. All of that has rolled to a standstill. And so we're saving money on one side and we're spending money on the other. And for the most part, we're pretty much balanced. At last check, I believe our numbers were only down 12.5%. So we're only 12.5%. We're spending 12.5% more than we have available. But again, the longer this goes, the more it balances itself out. So the number was much bigger towards April, and then it is like slowly evened out. So that 12.5 probably has to be updated. I didn't check with Melissa on the spending, but I can only assume it's smaller than that percentage than it was the last time our finance committee met a few months ago.
Thank you, Jay.
This is Patty. I have a question.
Hit us, Patty.
Okay. So yeah, I was kind of wondering just about janitorial monies and what happened to Juanice and right. I mean, obviously we haven't had to clean, but I was just wondering about that particular piece of the budget.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use your word here. We have not had to have cleaned, but I can't wait for you all to get back in this building. Honestly, Juanice has been working. She's working fewer hours, so her contract is dropped from a certain percentage to a lower percentage. But if you've ever wondered if the top of the cabinets in the kitchen is dust-free, I can tell you unequivocally, they are. And every single mug and every piece of silverware and anything that has gone without cleaning for months and months because we're trying to keep up with the use either from our church or from All Souls on Sunday. We're scrubbing the bottoms of doors where some people like to kick doors open. We have removed all of the scuff marks over the eons of time this church has been opened. So I'm sure we rubbed history off in a lot of places, but it is spick and span and super clean now. So she has continued to clean just in an altered schedule, ready for everybody. She's taken all of the couches out of rooms, flipped them upside down, vacuumed underneath them. We have met mouse friends that we didn't know existed who have been living in our cupboards, who have been relocated to someplace outside, and we've cleaned up after them and charged them rent and all the things that go with cleaning in the way that Juanice has been cleaning. And it has been awesome. So Juanice is doing well. The church building is doing well. And we are just waiting to show you how clean this church really can be when you come back on October 3.
Thank you very much, Jay.
You're welcome.
That's November 3rd, not November 14th.
Whoa. See, Russ is going to get people all confused now. Business meeting on November 14th. All right, that's it. We're starting the whole town hall meeting over. All right. Welcome. Thank you all for coming. It's so good to be here. No, so Russ, to clarify, October 3 is the reopening date. November 14th is the church at business meeting. All right. And October 22nd, celebration of the Great Disappointment. That's just a little Adventist trivia for you. So you mark your calendars for that. That's the day Jesus didn't come back, and who knows, maybe he'll come back this year on October 22nd, and all of this will be for nothing. That's going to become my prayer. So I hope nobody's upset that that's what I'm going to be praying for moving forward. Any other questions on that or anything that we haven't covered? I've got one more piece for us to look at, which is the preaching calendar. So everybody's got an idea of what's coming up next. Usually you get to come in and see all the brand new posters that are coming up, but you're not here, so we're not printing the posters. Another thing we're saving on, Mark, we're not printing the bulletin. We're not printing posters. It's just me sticking my face to the inside of the copier here and making a bunch of silly faces. So I hope everybody is okay with that budget. But thankfully, silly face printer budget is actually flush with cash. So I've been using it unwisely or wisely, depending on how you look at it. No other questions. I'm going to show you the preaching calendar so you get a look at it. And then we'll just take general questions at the end with whatever time we have left so that you know what else is going on if we didn't cover it. Everybody can see this. I see Gary squinting, so I'm going to keep blowing it up more until Gary stops squinting, and then I'll know I'm getting closer. Little bit better. Little bit better.
Trouble with bifocals.
Yeah, we'll work with you. All right, so you heard Kiefer's sermon from this past Sabbath, which I'll just give an unasked for opinion. I loved it. It was awesome, and I've never heard Kiefer preach, so I was a big fan. And I heard Audrey second that, so that means that I think, yeah, well done. And I got a thumbs up from D, so wow, we're really chugging along here. This next piece, we had a gap. We had an 8-week gap that we didn't know what to do with. So when Pastor Jen was here, she had a plan to do a series on a book that none of us were familiar with. And so we were stuck in a place where, do we want to stick with the mission and the vision there? And we've done our very best as a staff with guest speakers to do everything up until this week. When that series ended, everything that you've seen was a part of the original preaching calendar that we put together with the help of Pastor Jen, but we've run out of runway to be able to do that. And so our staff has been working to figure out what's next. What do we want to talk about? And one of the things that we realized very quickly was that there's a lot of things going on in the world that sure could use some clarity beyond just what you see on the news, just what you see on social media. And some of these topics are spoken well of inside of Scripture. And it might be helpful for us to take a closer look at some of these topics as they relate to the Bible. So I want to give a brief understanding that we're going to be talking about things like politics, like immigration, homelessness, race, the rights of women, the mental health issues that we have in this nation, and the plight of the physically disabled. A lot of these things you may find on your ballot, or at least candidates will be talking about these items on the upcoming election, which is coming up in November. Our plan is not to tell you how to vote. Our plan is not to tell you how to think. Our plan is not to use the pulpit as a soapbox for more opinions just told through the lens of certain people who are connected to our church. We're actually trying to say, Jesus has an answer for these things. There is a way that God has worked through these issues before us and will work through these issues again, but we would like to be able to talk well of these things. And so what we've done is we have gone out to find the brightest minds, the greatest speakers, and the people who have the most experience in these areas, which is why you will see the guest list to the right here. I shouldn't have said that we brought the brightest minds and then I'm the first one, because it looks like all I said was I'm super smart. I'm going to do my best to set the stage because our series is called Justice, Mercy, and Humility, which is based around Micah 6:8. And so we're going to talk about the identity of biblical justice and social justice to set the stage for what comes next. And so we've had Andre Wang preach here before. I think he was here in 2018. We've invited him back because if we're going to talk about politics, let's get a guy who knows about politics, but also is a devout Christian and a great Adventist who can walk us through what politics means in this case. And so Andre is not going to tell you how to vote. He's not going to walk through the ballot with you. He's not going to talk about which measures should be most important. He's going to talk about politics, and he's going to do it through the lens of Ephesians 4. And we're going to keep going down the list. Our very own Emma Pillar, who has worked in Denver with policies on immigration, is going to preach a sermon. I actually have a meeting with her in 1 hour to walk through all of the things that she has got going on and the exciting message she has for us. My wife is going to preach on the homeless issue. Daniel Barai, who is the newest co-lead pastor of Life Source Adventist Fellowship, is going to talk to us about race. Heather Thompson Day is going to talk to us about women's rights. We actually have her sermon already, which I should add, caveat, we will be open for the second sermon of this series, but we built this series based upon a digital footprint. So on certain weeks, you will be coming to church, you will listen to live music, you'll hear a live spoken word, you'll hear a live blessing, but you will be watching a screen to have the sermon because some of these are just impossible for us to have live. So Daniel's got a job to do in Lakewood, so he'll be at church that week, but we'll have him here in our sanctuary from a pre-recorded message. Same with Heather Thompson Day and Andre Wang. And we'll see if Emma's up for a live sermon, if I can talk her into it. If not, you'll have that one from her over a video. And Vanessa will talk to us about mental health because not only is she our faith engagement pastor, but her full-time job is dealing with mental health issues. And so she's going to speak well on that topic as we go through. And as you know, Tony Hunter, who, man, that last sermon he preached was phenomenal on death. And somebody who knows so much about that situation through his job is going to talk to us again about what it means to see Scripture through the physically disabled eyes of our friends and family who we find in Scripture. So should be a good one, but I didn't want this to go past and all of a sudden it just springs up on you because we've been doing other series. We wanted to give you a heads up of what was coming so you can either find a way to tell as many people as possible that, hey, my church is talking about some relevant issues in the world and is going to do it in a way that is scripturally relevant and important to the times we're living in now. So there's your heads up. Everything that is coming over the next 8 weeks. And then afterwards, you see a bunch of TBD and orange after it. We're going to have to figure out what we're doing after this series because we haven't figured it out yet, but we're hoping with the introduction of a new senior pastor that we'll have something very quickly ready for you. And I should also add, at any point, if our senior pastor candidate is able to fly to us and give us a sermon, we will put that sermon wherever it lands on the calendar, even if that means we have to cut a little divide in between the series and make a space for that special sermon that week. We will cut the series wherever it needs to, and we'll pick it back up after the candidate has returned. Questions on that? Comments on that? You're making it very easy on us. I think it means that you're gearing up for bigger questions later, or we're just hitting all the right spots, which is,
Jay, I have a question, Jay.
Sure, Gary, hit us.
At one time, Dr. Jack Hain was scheduled to speak here, but do you know what has happened with that?
Yes, that's a great question, Gary. We've done our best to keep as many of the guest speakers who are scheduled to be a part of our series in the same rotation. You've seen a couple of them who have been digital. When we reached out to Dr. Hain, we asked him whether or not he had any interest in staying on for the date that he was scheduled. He said, at this time, I'd like to decline my invitation, that he had done it kind of as a courtesy to Pastor Jen, but because he didn't know this church as well, he thought it might be a really difficult match to try and preach the sermon as he had planned it. So he asked to be taken off of our roster.
Okay, thanks, Jay.
You're welcome. All right, that's all
Jay,
this.
I am.
Oh,
Oh, hey, it's Winnell. I was just going to say I am super excited about this next series that you guys have planned. Every topic you have here has been like top on my mind. So it's super exciting to see this.
cool. Well, now you're now my new hype woman. If ever I have doubts in my life, I'm just going to call you and you're going to tell me all the things that we're doing are super exciting because it's good to hear.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. I'm super excited.
I appreciate it. All right, with that, that's the end of our scheduled update. So we got nothing else to give you that we've planned to give you, but that doesn't mean we haven't covered something that you think we should be covering. So we'll just take questions from the audience if there's anything we can update you on that you'd love to know more about that wasn't previously covered. Or I can cover something if you came on late and you would like to get an update, I'll make sure you get that as well.
Hey, Jake, can you address All Souls plans for using our church again?
Yeah, so they don't have a plan at this moment. Oh, I see. I have a bunch of chats here. I'm sorry. I see questions I didn't even see before because I was sharing my screen. Mary Lou, I apologize. All Souls has a plan to reopen. They do not have a date, but it will not be in October. Their team is called the Reentry Team, and they are currently working on a strategy. Their next meeting is the last Wednesday of October. And if by then they have a plan, they will make a decision coming into November. But thankfully, we get to work with one another. And so right now our team is working with their team. They're working with us to make sure, hey, have you thought about this? Have we made a plan for this? So we'll have a really good look at all of this from both a Saturday perspective and what it looks like on Sunday and how we can continue to be good stewards for one another. Because if we have a service on Sabbath, we're going to need to make sure there's a quick turnaround so that we can sanitize, put everything back so that they can come in safely and have the same experience we did on Sabbath. So we're working on it. The answer is no, not October, and we'll let you know as soon as that changes. Any other questions? Or maybe I'll do another pop quiz, and if Russ gets the question wrong, then I really am starting the whole town hall over, and then we're going to go from the top.
Jay, not a question, but just a comment that the reopening group is also trying to figure out how do we deal with funerals and other sorts of things that may come up, and we will keep you all updated as we determine how we might be able to do that.
Jay, I have a question. This is Kathy. We used to have an item on the online offering and tithe that you could give to, there was some kind of a fund for church members that were struggling during this COVID time. And I didn't notice that the last time I was on there. Did I miss it, or is it not needed anymore? Just wondering.
That's a good question, Kathy. I don't know the answer because my wife and I don't use the portal through there, but I will check on it. We have the ability to edit that for whatever it needs to be. So if it has disappeared, there's no reason why we couldn't make sure it's back on. I don't know at this point of any direct cases of members who are in need, or at least in this section of time. It has been true in months past. But we don't have anybody now that we're aware of. But if that does change and it's brought to our attention, we can make sure those funds are funneled directly to them from that option.
Sounds good. And I'm on my iPad. I can only see 4 people. It's really good to hear everybody's voice and know sounds like there's a lot of people on here. So that's
there are
cool.
30 of us in this room, but that doesn't count D because there's 2 people on every iPad. So there could be more than 30 at this point.
Jay, this is Peter. Were there some questions on the chat?
There were only questions about All Souls. So I got 2 questions about All Souls, and they were both almost identical. So somehow we found a way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone there. All right. I'm not seeing anybody jumping up. Oh, no, I spoke too soon.
This is Taryn. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So since we're not doing connect groups and Sabbath school yet, so for Andrew's age group in 5th grade, it's been non-existent. Is that going to continue to be the case?
Taryn, when you say non-existent, will you flesh that out for me?
Yeah, there's no Zoom meetings, and the stuff that's linked is like from April, and there's nothing current, and there's no meetings or anything for his age group.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So this is a tricky answer on top of a tricky answer, but it's a good question for everybody to have access to, simply because there are certain Zoom connections that we do have. So we've got an Explorers and a Squad that meets at 3 o'clock. And then there's the Crash group, which meets at 1 o'clock. And then you've got all of your other adult classes, including the Spot, that meet at 11. And so in order for us to get back into a rhythm where we have our Camp Sanidus younger classes, like Andrew's group in 5th grade, we've got to work through the timing of our connect groups, because right now, if we open the church at 9:30 and let's say Russell gets the lottery ticket, he gets a seat in the church, but still wants to make it to his connect group, which, Russ, I shouldn't have picked on you because I can't remember which group you go to. Are you a Journey member?
Yes.
Okay, I should have just guessed. I feel like I knew that one. And let's say he wants to get to the Journey, but the Journey is still meeting on Zoom, and that Zoom class starts at 11. Russell will have to break multiple moving violations and pick up a few misdemeanors in order to make it back to his home as safely as possible. And I just don't feel comfortable saying we want to keep our people safe and then require you to speed when you're not here to make the rest of your connections to our community. And so, Taryn, to answer your question, we're working on what time to stick all of our different opportunities. Right now, there's the idea that at the beginning, we'll just have one service that happens live at 9:30, and maybe we can have the Kids Connect groups happen on Zoom earlier, and then we'll have the church service happen at 9:30, and then there'll be an extended time for you to get home to make it to your Zoom class. But all of this is also seasonal, so I'm adding more complications to it, because maybe we can start to open our connect groups outside, which will work for another 5 minutes, and then the weather will shift, and then no one will be able to meet outside, and this all becomes a moot point. So then it turns into what happens when we open the church. We do it for one service. We have 50 people in the sanctuary, and then in order to make the lottery more expansive for more people to come in, we expand into the community room, and we expand into the classrooms downstairs where we can live stream the service in. So while you won't be in the sanctuary, you'll be with other human beings in other rooms and work that out. And then what happens when we add a second live service? So we do a live service at 9:30 and a live service at 11. Where do you put the connect groups so that people can get to either class? So it's a traffic jam, it's a nightmare, and it's the kind of stuff that we didn't expect when we thought, well, let's just open the doors and let people in. There's a ton of restrictions that will keep us from doing all of this at the same time. So Taryn, we're working on a solution. We don't have one yet, and we really have to spend a lot of time to figure out the Camp Sanidus side of things, simply because the rules for kids and the size of classroom that we have and the mask mandates and all of the things that come with that change based on your age, and we don't have a set answer for you yet, but we're working on it, and we will keep in touch to let you know when we do come up with a plan.
Jay, how are you going to do the lottery?
Yeah, so good question. We don't know fully, but we do know that in the time between the start of COVID and today, our own Planning Center online software has come up with a registration portal. So all of the information you already put in for PCO, if you've ever been on stage, if you've ever done spoken word, if you've ever run lights for us, we already have your information, and we'll be able to put out through PCO this registration option. So when it gets to 50, that's when it'll cut off, at least for the first couple of weeks, and then we'll get 50 plus whatever the community room can hold, and we'll get into the expansion of all of that. But it should be super simple. We'll put it up on the website, and then once tickets go live, and this is one of those weird, like, we're selling tickets to church. based on whether or not you have a good internet connection. And that, unfortunately, they sold out within the first 15 minutes for October 3, and it becomes the party of the century. And of course, that's going to be the week the power goes out and a bulldozer comes crashing through our patio furniture outside, and it's just going to be a debacle. So we're working on the exact way to do it, but we will have invites out for you. We'll put it out in the bulletin. We'll put it out in Community Life saying, at 1 p.m. tomorrow, tickets will go live for our first service on October 3. And then every week we'll just redraft the lottery until everybody's had a chance who does want a chance to come and be a part of an in-person service.
Jay, this is Patty. Could I ask Taryn a question?
Oh, do we all need to leave the room? Should we?
Oh, no. So Taryn, I wanna understand the question that you asked. Has your fifth grader not been involved in a Sabbath school since April? Did I hear your question correctly?
You are correct. And he is feeling very left out because his older sister is 17, and their leaders did a thing where they came to the house and dropped off like care packages, and that was awesome. But Andrew was here, and there's been nothing for his age group, or I missed it somehow, but no, there's been nothing for his age group this whole time.
So Jay, is that true that we've had one whole children's Sabbath school class section not meeting? I just wanted to clarify that. For me, I don't have any fifth graders. I assumed that there was a class for everybody all through the Camp Sanitas available online. Perhaps I was mistaken.
So yeah, that's a good question. And Taryn, I was going to send you details as well. I'm going to try and work through this in real time. So every group has a different name than usual. Our beginners class, which most people know as Cradle Roll, has not met through COVID. And so we have not had a beginner's option, but if you've been to our website or you've seen the bulletin, you'll see that Brittany McLaughlin has been posting her reading through stories. We upload curriculum that you can use at home. And then each of those pieces can be used, whatever week you decide to click on it, there's a bunch of different options there. From there, our our Explorers and Squad group, which is that next step up, has been meeting for what's called a tea party. That happens at 3 o'clock. So Taryn, we're going to have to get Andrew into that. I'm pretty sure, and Stacy's been helping me in the chat here as well. Usually in the summer, there's a promotion day where everybody who graduated from one class to another gets to do the triumphant walk from one class to the other and feels very big and very strong and very old and very better than all of their friends they left behind in the last class. Since we don't actually have a promotion day, we've just been trying to enter people into different classes so that they can be a part of this next experience. And Mark, I'm assuming you're waving at Jackson and not at me. You don't have a question, right? Okay, good. So Taryn, I'm sure at this point, Andrew would be in Crash, which is something that we're teaching and we've been teaching for a while at 1 p.m. So I will get you details on that. It's one of those things where it goes out in the bulletin, but who knows who sees what and when and what to click and why. So we will clarify that, but we will find a way to get him connected as quickly as possible. But to Patty's question, the only class that is absolutely not meeting through this is beginners.
Okay. Yeah, and that was part of what I had talked about. So I've clicked on the link for Crash, and the stuff in there is from April. So there's not, I must have missed something somewhere, because the link in the bulletin for the Crash is very, very old stuff.
So, the stuff that you are clicking on is the actual curriculum. So there's a difference between the Connect group and the curriculum. So if you want something like for you to teach at home, Taryn, we provide options so that you can print it out and you can have all the crafts and here's what you need. That's the curriculum, but there's a Connect group actually meeting for Zoom on other spots in the page. I think if you're on the curriculum section, if you scroll up, there's a spot for Crash and it's got a web link. And if you're there at 1 o'clock, you'll see, Jackson and myself and Emmanuel Koo, and we're all hanging out. Josh Pompa was with us this past week. So there are options. We'll get that information to you so Andrew can be connected to hopefully the back end of our Zoom time online, but so that he's got something to connect into.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, last call for questions.
So Jay, this is just a statement. If I drive like you, I should be home in time to do my Connect group after the church service.
Yeah, but the difference is I only live 7 minutes from the church. I'm worried about when we add on-ramps and off-ramps and other drivers.
I say if I drive like you to get home, I should be home in enough time to listen to my Connect group.
I am praying for you now. That is my prayer, is that is both true and not true somehow at the same time. But God says through him all things are possible. So let's see what he's got in store for you.
Jay, it's Andrea. I have a question about the fact that some folks didn't know that we were meeting during this time, that there were online services and so forth. Are there any other people we're still trying to reach out to, or do people know now? What is the status of that issue?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different facets. To give everybody a heads up, we put up the survey for everyone to say, how are things going? How are you liking the Zoom experience? How are you liking church online? I could share that survey with you, but I could also just give you the Cliff Notes. No one likes it. No one. Nobody really likes it. Everybody was like, it's fine if we have to, but also open the church or I'll claw the doors down myself. And they had to bubble that in. That wasn't even an option. Somebody had to bubble in other and then write, I will claw the doors down myself. And that happened like 180 times. So we know it's not going super well. So from that, we also learned a few people said, I didn't know there was a bulletin. I didn't know that we were actually meeting for church online. I've never been to the website. I didn't know you had one. There were a lot of different things that were just left out for us to wade through. And so we worked with those people directly to say, here's how you get the bulletin. Here's where the website is. Here's how to connect to the church service. Here's how to connect to your Connect groups. And for those people that brought it to our attention, we were able to fix it. But again, this is one of those times where we don't know until Taryn says, hey, I wish I knew that this was happening, that we didn't know that information was getting to the right people. So keep us posted. If there are more people out there that don't know information that you all know, let us know so we can get them the same stuff you've got. But for the most part, I think we've covered our bases. Seems like every time I say, okay, no more questions, somebody has a question, but nobody jumped in.
I have a comment, and I want to say that I think we filled out our survey, and so not everybody wanted to call the doors down. We've thought the services online have been absolutely excellent, and I especially like Tony's monkey.
We're big fans of Ted too. Thank you, Dee. I shouldn't have grouped everybody together. That is not to say everyone said it, but certainly the overwhelming majority was thinking that it's nice for what we do because we have to do it, but nothing will ever compare to the experience of being in person around our community, being a part of a service live. But again, Dee, thank you for holding me accountable. There's a reason why I'm afraid of you in this meeting, and there is the proof again.
I am. I'm actually appalled at what I have seen at some of the services with churches that have gone live that totally go against what the guidelines are. And I really appreciate that we have taken safety so seriously. And I think that people are wanting to get back to in-live services that are not going to be the same as they used to be. It's going to be a very, very long time before we can visit with each other and have breakfast and gather like we did. So even in-person church is not going to be what people had expected. And I think we need to be cognizant of that. But I really appreciate that even though our church has been barraged with questions and threats, that we have refused to give in, and we will open when it is safe to do so.
Thanks, Diane. Yeah, we think we found a way. We think we know a way to do it in a responsible way that will still work with Boulder, will work with all the other rules. But again, do keep that in mind. Diane makes a really good point. The breakfast at your house is going to be better than the breakfast you get at Boulder, simply because there will be no breakfast. And the hugs you get from the people that are in your house will be way better than the hugs you'll get at church, because there will be no hugs. So all of these things are a skewed version of what we did before, and the quality of service is going to change. We're not going to have 5 songs anymore. We're going to have 1 song, and that 1 song is going to be a special music, and there won't be lyrics provided to tempt any of you to sing any of those songs, because singing at your house will always be better than singing at church, because against all of the understanding from scripture, there will be no singing at church. So new rules. It's a new day, and we're going to walk through this slowly. Be patient with us. Like I said, we're gonna try our best to open on October 3, but at any point, if things go sideways at the university or in Boulder County at large, we may find ourselves back in the first phase of things. We may go backwards in time, and we will be closed due to a mandate from the city and from the state. So just be aware that we're working with the timeline, and the reality will dictate how we're able to move. But for now, we're hopeful, and we're feeling good about keeping you all safe and also in the building. So looking forward to it.
Well, and I think the online services have been really high quality. And it sounds like the other maybe isn't going to be as, it's going to be different. You know, it's not going to be the same quality. So
that is true. I don't want anybody to get their hopes up. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to watch a Boulder church service before COVID from somewhere else. The quality of the audio changes. We don't have an audio board for our music, so you don't hear that same mixed sound that you would inside of the building when Diane is on the soundboard. She makes it sound nice there, but it's a little bit different when you're trying to use an unmixed sound to make it work. But the good thing is we're taking baby steps. So for a while, it'll be Aliyah with a guitar singing. And then if we get really good at what we're doing, it'll be Aliyah with a guitar singing and Kathy playing piano at an appropriate distance from him. And yeah, we will figure out how to do it step by step until we can get to a place where it looks and sounds the way it used to. But for a time, yeah, Audrey's right. The quality is going to go down, and the experience will be different, but hopefully it will be baby steps in the right direction. All right, it is 6:16, and I think Mark has yawned 3 times, which actually means that it is the end of this meeting. It's after the 3rd yawn that everything has to be powered down. So I'm going to ask Pastor Vanessa, would you be willing to just pray for us? We've done a lot here today, and there's a lot coming up. There's plenty of us here. There's plenty of things to pray for, but if you could just give us something to walk out on, it'd be appreciated.
Absolutely. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we're just so thankful for this church community. We have all been in our separate places, our separate homes, and we are looking forward to being able to see some of our community soon. And so as we look into the future, we ask for a blessing on our ministry here. We want to make sure that we're pointing each other to Jesus, and to those who have not yet been connected to us. We just hope to continue making those connections. And I want to pray for the upcoming changes as well, and leadership We ask for your guidance, and especially for the Bell family and all the other loved ones that have been impacted by the loss of Jeanette. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you, everybody. If you continue to have more questions, you can always find us at any of our email options, including hello@boulder.church. We don't have a plan to do another town hall yet, but if we do make that decision and we've got more to report, we'll keep you posted. But thank you all for spending an evening here with us and being a part of this conversation.